testifying all day and submitted a written statement that constitutes testimony.
And I have questions, and I think as a hearing officer in these proceedings, I have the ability to ask questions of the witnesses. So I have questions of you.
Am I a witness?
You are.
I thought I was the appellant.
You're both.
I'm both the appellant and a witness.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I plead the fifth?
If you believe it's appropriate, you
Okay, go ahead.
can start.
Who are you acting for counsel for? I don't get it.
I'm not. I'm just allowed in these proceedings. They're not as evidentiary strict as a court proceeding, and I'm allowed to ask questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Questions.
Go ahead.
I haven't got there yet. I mean, if you want me to go through, I wrote.
I just want to get my closing arguments to be done.
Okay. You can start your closing argument, but I may have questions.
Sure. Again, Article 1, Section 24A and B. I'm allowed to make records requests and I'm allowed to inspect and or copy, regardless of form or fashion. Part B, anytime I'm meeting with a public official, I'm allowed to make an objective record of that encounter. Jeff came up here and lied over and over and over and over again. Now, if I was able to record and make an objective record, I could prove to you that he perjured himself over and over and over again. But they won't allow an objective record inside a public lobby of a government building because the way they have it set up, everything's within earshot. You can write down everything. Simply using their perception and brash, bold, lying security guards with guns on them is not objective evidence. The video is objective evidence. Their policy is ridiculous. Their policy causes people to be mad and then they blame it on me. That's the rapist mentality. I had to do this to you. Look what you did. So, again, the Constitution allows me to record in public. Smith v. Cumming allows me to record officials in the course of their public duties in public. Brandsburg v. Hayes, anywhere the public's allowed to be, so is the press. Having to ask for permission to exercise your constitutional rights means they can deny you your constitutional rights at their own perception and feelings. They obviously have a hard-on for us, as you can tell. They don't like us recording. They definitely don't like something like this in their office because they claim that they have to protect information. And there's no case ever in the history of Florida where someone went into an office, a tax collector's office, recorded something from the motor vehicle database, and knowingly published it for malicious intent. It's never happened. They're blowing this so out of proportion, it's ridiculous. I literally went in there with your court order. Everybody ignored the court order. The cops, the security guard, Zamora. I'm assuming she could care less.
The order doesn't allow you to record it.
I wasn't recording.
I understand.
Okay, it allows me to go in there and do legitimate business,
Right.
which is exactly what I was doing. Peaceful, calm, legitimate business until this guy came and browbeat me to death and threatened me multiple times, Mr. Gentry, to leave the building. And then finally, this is the whole time they're holding my property in the back office. And finally when they gave it back to me, yeah, I used my free speech because there was nothing else left. I was at my wit's end. I could only be professional for so long. They were on top of me no matter how many times I told him to leave me alone. He refused to leave me alone and have a manager or somebody else in the building handle my public records request.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Okay.
I don't doubt you. Based on his demeanor today and testimony, I don't doubt you at all.
And I like I said, I've been a police
for
accountant.
you.
Go ahead.
What public record were you there to request?
I was going to request names and salaries of everybody that works there.
Did you actually ask somebody for that?
I did. I was never given a chance. I'm telling you, this guy wouldn't let me get a word in.
You didn't ask the...
I asked the clerk, and she says, "What is that?" And I said, "It's chapter 1.
What did you ask her specifically?
What do you mean?
What did you ask her?
I said, "I'd like to make a public records request."
You didn't tell her what?
No, because she responded with, "What's that?"
Okay.
And I said, "It's chapter
Your
190."
testimony earlier was that
She was handling it.
they asked you what you were requesting.
And I said she was handling it.
She knows. What's
Yeah.
the testimony?
Yeah, she knows why I'm here. There's no reason for them to be there. It was peaceful until they got in my face and tried to browbeat me and force me out under duress. And he said I'm not even allowed to be there in general. And that it's private property. And good for you that you have a court order. They're ignoring your order. The police and everybody ignored your order. What good is it if I get a court order and I try to, here it is, here's the highlighted portion, 4 cops, every employee says, "Oh, we don't care about the magistrate orders." And Mr. Gentry said, "Oh, good for you that you have a court order."
Let me ask you another question.
Go ahead.
Let me remind you, you're under oath.
Yes.
Were you recording in the lobby?
No. No.
Have you ever used that camera and it flashed red and it wasn't recording?
That I don't know.
Is that the camera you had there? that
Yes.
day? Can I see it?
Sure.
That's the same one that you had on you that
Yeah.
day?
Is it recording now?
It is.
You mind if I take this off?
I wish I was recording. I really wish I was recording. And all the more reason their policy is trash because...
Can you make it?
You're live.
Can you make it flash a light so I can see what they
I
were talking
can't
about?
do that right now. You have to hook it up to a PC to change the settings. As far as I know. I can't do it right here, right now, though.
Do you have the make and model of this?
Only the model, whatever's on top of there.
Oh, I didn't see it on top.
I rarely use it. It's supposed to be backup. I usually use my cell phone, but I'm not allowed to use it in there. And I wanted to look up stuff while I was in there on my phone. Thank you.
So did you tell anybody that day of what records you were looking for?
I never was given an opportunity. I was being accosted and berated and made fun of and being sarcastic and threatened over and over by Jeff Gentry, regardless of how many times I told him to leave me alone and let a supervisor handle it. He refused. You get me, that's what you get. And don't call me honey. He thought I called him honey. I'm going to publish every video I took from that day on my channel. And there's not going to be anything from the lobby because I didn't capture anything in the lobby because I was following your court order.
You have further testimony or argument? No, I interrupted you.
I mean, that's the gist of it, man. They're going by their perception. Again, anyone can walk in there with a hidden camera. The policy's trash. They're literally violating people's rights.
I mean, I hear your argument with that. But I don't
And
think
as far-
I don't think you're characterizing it necessarily fair. If you're looking at it objective, and they say, I look and I don't perceive that you're recording, then I'm not going to say anything. I think that's the right approach. But if it looks like you're recording or you're actively doing something, I think then they go ask and investigate. How else would you want them to handle it?
The way they would handle it is to create privacy without violating people's constitutional rights. You either bring someone back in a room, you know, like they do. There's thousands of DMVs across the country. Not all of them are set up to where people are sitting right here And the transactions are taking place right here within earshot and in plain view.
So
There's more than one way to skin a cat.
is with the policy in general, right?
Well, the policy is unlawful. And they testified last time that they made it out of thin air.
Do you understand, though, that this isn't the form to challenge the
That's
law?
fine, sir, and that's why I abided by their policy, and I brought them your court order that they wiped their ass with. The cops, 4 cops, including a lieutenant, a corporal supervisor, and a sheriff's deputy, everyone at the tax collector's office ignored your court order. I followed your court order, I followed their policy, and I'm still here in court defending myself against it. Anyone else hungry?
I don't have any further questions, so if you,
I didn't hear that, sir.
I don't have any further questions.
All right.
If you have more to say, if the county has more to say.
I mean, I'm done. I appreciate the time.
I think he certainly made himself a witness. I'd like an opportunity to ask some questions.
I think that's fair.
I'm not a witness.
I think he testified throughout the entire day.
Okay?
So I think he.
And I could plead the 5th, right?
You can-
Okay, go ahead.
So it is your testimony that you were not recording on that?
I plead the 5th.
I mean, can't be evasive.
Yeah.
Asked and answered.
So, okay, are you gonna, I guess my question is,
I'm not required to answer his questions.
you are, unless you believe there's some kind of constitutional right not to.
The Fifth Amendment.
You're gonna incriminate yourself?
Do I have the right to remain silent or no?
You have the right not to testify against yourself. You're not under arrest.
Do I have the right to remain silent in this court?
No,
I don't.
you're a witness.
Not when he's made himself a witness.
Go ahead.
You maintain
This
this.
isn't a criminal investigation. This isn't Miranda.
You're saying it's quasi-judicial, right?
What I'm saying is it's not Miranda. You have the right not to incriminate yourself.
I'm not pleading the 5th under Miranda. I'm pleading the 5th under the 5th Amendment. Those are two separate things.
But that applies to the Fifth Amendment, is you have the right not to testify against yourself. So unless,
Can what he say asking me be used against me?
if he's asking you a question that your answer would incriminate you, then you can plead the Fifth. But you've already answered that same question.
Then why is he asking me again?
That's a different objection.
All right. Objection, asked and answered.
I mean, besides testifying all day, he submitted a written statement that's his entire narrative of the event. So he's unequivocally made himself a witness.
So everything's been answered then.
So therefore,
No, he's allowed to cross-examine you. That's part of this.
Go ahead.
the right to not be a witness against yourself applies if you choose not to be a witness. But once you do, you're subject to cross-examination.
I never chose to be a witness.
You submitted a whole packet of information in the testimony. This is written testimony.
Okay.
So that means you're a witness. He has the right to cross-examine.
I'm a witness to what, sir?
To the events that day. To your trespass warning.
Okay.
So he has the right to ask you questions.
Go ahead and ask.
It's like the Constitution only matters for the free press part, because part of the Constitution is he has the right to cross-examine.
And part of the Constitution is I have the right to remain silent.
That's not the Constitution. That's in Miranda. That came from case law.
Sir, with all due respect, the 5th Amendment is the right to remain silent and not answer questions. Miranda is something separate. Miranda went to, Miranda was created because a guy named Miranda was forced to answer questions, not realizing he had the 5th Amendment right to remain silent. So they passed Miranda.
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't pass it. It was a case.
Right, okay. It's a case law.
Miranda's criminal investigations. This is not a criminal investigation.
Even more reason I shouldn't have to answer questions.
No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless they've been indicted by a grand jury. That's the first part of the Fifth Amendment. No one shall be compelled in a criminal case to be a witness against himself.
Mhm.
This isn't a criminal case.
So is he asking me to be a witness against myself?
Not in a criminal case, he's not.
Okay. I don't feel I'm compelled to answer his questions, but go ahead.
But you're gonna have to.
Go ahead.
Or also, you have to understand that I have to take in everybody's testimony.
I'm said go ahead about 4 times now. Go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Mr. Felix, is it Filax or Felix?
You can pick.
Okay. Mr. Felix.
How do you pronounce your name?
I pronounce it Felix.
Felix?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Felix, it's your testimony that you were not recording on the second, correct?
I was not recording.
Is it fair to say that you are kind of known for video recording?
That's not fair.
I mean, you do go around, you go to public buildings, you make video recordings, do you not?
I have. That's not what I do all the time. No, it's not a common thing I do. No. I have 3,000 videos. The very few are of that nature.
Well, you were trespassed from the Land O'Lakes tax collector for video recording, right?
Yeah.
You do have a YouTube channel where you post your videos, right?
Correct.
I mean, you're video recording this proceeding. You have a body camera in my face right now, right?
It's not in your face, sir. It's nowhere near your face.
You're video recording this proceeding, right? And you have that right, but you're video recording this
I
proceeding.
have that right, yes.
Of course. Okay.
Except not in the tax collector's office. For some reason, they're sovereign from the law.
Okay. Remember.
Go ahead.
Remember, answer the question. That's
I did answer.
Okay. So going back to this, the February 2nd incident, you did have a body camera strapped to your chest, right?
Clipped. I had a body camera clipped to my shirt.
Clipped to your shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you did even acknowledge that the red light was blinking.
I did not acknowledge that.
Didn't you tell Mr. Gentry, well, that doesn't mean anything?
It doesn't mean anything, and I never acknowledged that it was blinking. That's all their testimony. I never said that.
You testified to that earlier.
What?
You testified that you told him that doesn't mean anything.
Right. It doesn't mean anything.
That means you acknowledge that he brought it up.
He brought it up. I didn't acknowledge that it was blinking. That's their testimony, not mine.
So,
I don't know what they saw.
so say they did see a red light blinking.
Speculation.
Okay. You've not been able to replicate the red light blinking.
Never tried.
Okay. You've never tried to replicate the red
Nope.
light blinking when it's not recording.
No.
And in fact, you just told Mr. Maggard you actually have to hook it up to the PC to change the settings.
I told him I believe that's the way it's done. Like, I don't know everything this camera does.
So, I mean, let me ask you, knowing of the prior instance of video recording, knowing that you do have a YouTube channel where you post video recordings,
Mm-hmm.
can you understand why when you walk in there wearing a body camera on your chest, why they might think you're video recording?
Why I think they're biased against me? Yes.
So you can understand why they might think that you're video recording.
They can think whatever they want. I think
That's
they're all
not-
pedophiles.
That's not the question.
I think they're pedophiles.
That's not the question.
Okay.
The question is, can you understand
No.
why they might think?
No.
You cannot.
Not
you
without
can't
objective
comprehend
proof, no.
that. Okay. That's fair.
They have to make that up in their own mind.
Okay. All right, you're
So, let me ask you.
Who's questioning me now? Both of you? This has gone on now too long.
I'm just making sure I understand everything. I've been doing this the whole time. Give me just a second. I'll look at this for Okay. I'm sorry. Can you continue?
You know the story of the boy who cried wolf? You remember that one?
Nope.
Never heard of that?
Heard of what, sir?
The boy who cried wolf?
I've heard the phrase.
You know what that means? You know what that phrase means?
I don't. Please explain.
So,
You realize you're on the road, right?
Excuse me?
You're on the road.
Why would you remind me of that, sir?
Because I don't think it's reasonable for me to believe that you don't know what the boy who cried wolf means.
Why is that?
Because I think it's very common.
Okay. I have to know everything that's common?
You don't have to know everything. But
I don't know how he perceives that phrase, and I don't perceive it any certain way.
If somebody's telling the truth,
Okay.
so
You believe I'm lying?
I don't know.
Okay. Very good.
So you don't know that story. The boy,
What are you talking about? Something I might have seen in school 47 years ago?
boy who cried wolf.
Okay.
Right? Tells all the
What's the
towns.
relevance? Let's move on to that.
Well, I think it's a direct analogy to exactly what's happened here.
What's that?
Right? You go around recording.
No, I don't. I have gone around recording.
Okay. Well, that's
You go around wearing suits. You always wear a suit?
You weren't there to record. You were there to do a public records request.
Correct.
Right? It's a quick public records
Correct.
request.
And they turned into this again.
Right, that's what you told Corporals Alpha. Quick. You just wanted to get in and out. 15 minutes, right?
I didn't tell them quick or a certain time. I just said that I was there to make a public records request.
You didn't tell them that you were there for a 15-minute public records request.
If I said 15 minutes, it shouldn't even take that long.
Did you tell them that?
I don't know. I don't recall.
Fair to say it shouldn't even take that long. You wanted to get in and out. Is that fair to say?
I wanted to see if they were going to respect the judge's order.
Okay, so you weren't just there to make a public records request.
Yeah, I made a public records request.
Okay. You know you can do that online, right?
You know you could do it in person under the law, right?
That's 100%.
Well, that's the way I chose
What
to do it that
What I'm
day.
asking you is if you had somewhere to be, which is what you told them, right? That you had somewhere to be.
After they were there for over an hour and they begged me to stay.
And you wanted it to be quick. You know you can do it online.
You keep
right?
saying I wanted it to be quick. I never said that.
You didn't tell Corporals Alpha that?
That I wanted it to be quick?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think I used that word.
Do you want to see the video
What video of?
of his body cam where you're telling him that you're just there?
Oh, you're talking about that day?
Yeah.
I thought you meant here in court. I might have said it that
There's
day.
nothing quick about this court proceeding.
No. And it never will be. The more you guys bring me in here.
You know you're the one who initiated this proceeding.
I am not. I went to do a public records request and then the people with guns showed up,
You didn't
accosted
file
me
an
with a
appeal?
gun. A
You
guy
didn't
with
file
a...
an appeal that initiated this
I
proceeding?
filed an appeal because I have no other recourse.
So, you know you can do public records requests online.
Relevance.
But you said you needed to be there quick that day. Certainly that would
Well,
be.
why
a lot
wouldn't it be
quicker.
quick? Because I can do it online?
Certainly that would be quicker than driving down there, wouldn't it?
I kind of agree with this.
Objection, no, because I was in the area and I was right there.
Okay. So why didn't you take a
So
ticket?
what, you're saying I should have drove all the way home?
Mr. Filax, if you make an objection, let me roll on.
Go ahead.
I was agreeing with you.
Go
I
ahead.
don't see the relevance.
Yeah, there isn't any.
So why didn't you take a ticket?
I was never asked to take a ticket.
Did you see the?
I would have gladly taken a ticket. Again, that's irrelevant. So what? If they wanted me to take a ticket, I would have took a ticket. They didn't even give me a chance to take a ticket. They didn't give me a chance to make my public records request. They didn't give me a chance to do anything. It was attack, attack, attack.
You don't like their policy, right?
Any American who knows the Bill of Rights would not like their policy.
Because it's your opinion that you have a First Amendment right to record in that building, right?
In public areas, for the most part.
You're a big believer in the First Amendment,
The Constitution, yes.
the whole Constitution.
Yeah, most of it. 16th and 17th can go.
Okay. I mean, it's the whole document our country's founded on, right?
Correct.
Who wouldn't be? So,
That we don't follow anymore.
what about the stuff before the Bill of Rights? Article 1, Article 2, Article 3?
What about it?
It's good stuff, right?
Sure.
You familiar? What's Article 1?
Late taxes. There's different Article 1, different sections. I don't know it verbatim.
Well, generally speaking, what's under Article 1?
I don't know it verbatim.
Okay. What about Article 2?
Don't know.
Article 3?
Relevance.
Okay. So the whole foundation of separation of powers, checks and balances, you're not familiar with those sections of the
I'm
Constitution?
not saying that.
Well, would you agree that Article 1 generally legislative powers?
I'd have to research.
You familiar with the Florida Constitution?
Not verbatim? No.
Are you familiar with the general structure of government, legislative, executive, judicial?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good thing, right?
And when it's properly done, yes. Not the way it is now, no.
You familiar with the power of judicial review?
No.
You don't know what judicial?
You talking Marbury versus Madison?
I am.
Okay, yeah.
So what's judicial review?
I'd be guessing, but Marbury versus Madison, any law that's unconstitutional should be ignored and abolished or ignored into non-existence, something of that nature. If I'm guessing right.
It's close, yeah.
Yeah.
It's ultimately
It's invalid.
judicial review gives the courts the power to declare a legislative or an executive action unconstitutional, right?
Correct.
Such as a policy enacted.
But
by
the ultimate
Congress.
power is to the people. That's why we had a revolution.
So-
And I'm trying to avoid actual gunfights and an actual civil war in this country. If we
So
could just
that-
get the government to follow the Constitution.
So that power of judicial review to
Mhm.
declare an executive act unconstitutional,
hmm
who holds that power?
The power of judicial review? Ultimately, the people.
What branch of government has that power to conduct judicial review?
Well, the first is the people. The people are first. The people are first.
So if the people say an act is unconstitutional, it's unconstitutional.
If the people say, well, it has to be congruent with the writing in the Constitution.
It has to be declared unconstitutional, right?
By who?
By a court, right?
Not necessarily. There was a civil war in this country when the courts failed.
So I mean,
That's how the Constitution was created. Because the king acted like a sovereign, just like our judges and lawyers do now. And our police officers do now. They act like the sovereigns and not the servants.
And we established separation of powers through the Constitution.
But there isn't any currently, which can be demonstrated.
Okay. You understand the special magistrate is not a judge, right?
No, I did not know that. I thought a magistrate was a judge. And I'm shocked that you can't hear constitutional arguments in a court.
You understand this is not a court, right?
No.
I mean, you were here at the hearing in August, right?
Right.
The first thing he says is, I'm not a judge, I'm an attorney, right?
Aren't all judges attorneys?
Not necessarily.
No? You can become a judge without being an attorney first?
Like once you're a
State
judge.
or you can't be a practicing attorney and be a judge at the same time.
You can.
You cannot.
What I'm saying is, there's no judge that wasn't formerly an attorney first.
That's, yeah, you're right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
But I'm 98% of my time practicing attorney, not a hearing officer.
Okay. Relevance?
Saying it's a
But
question, I guess.
the relevant, what I'm trying to ask you is, you think their policy is unconstitutional. You realize you have to go to court to get a court to say it's unconstitutional.
And you realize that after you're calling 200 lawyers, not one will call you back, right?
Maybe that's because you don't have a good case. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe it's because they think you would lose.
Or because lawyers don't make money on civil rights action. Maybe that's the case. You think of that option?
It's possible.
That's what it is.
It seems to be lost on you that this hearing, it's a very narrow scope. As Mr. Maggard's indicated, it's just to see whether the trespass ordinance 66-159 was followed. He doesn't have the power to determine whether or not their policy is constitutional.
That's fine. I didn't say he had the power.
You've come into this hearing, and even though you say you're not arguing the constitutionality of their policy, you really are. You have been all day. It violates your free press, that it violates your free speech, right?
It does.
And do you really think that it's consistent with the Constitution that we all respect to have a...
Objection. We don't all respect.
Do you really...
Very few people in this country.
You respect the Constitution?
Absolutely.
So, this hearing officer, you understand that he is an arm of the legislative body, right? The Board of County Commissioners has appointed him to conduct these limited hearings.
I really don't understand what he does here. It's lost on me. The fact that he can't hear the law quoted directly, case law.
Well, do you understand that he's not a judge?
No, I just answered that already.
Well, I mean, I think that probably goes to the root of the whole problem, why we're having the
The root of the problem is an unconstitutional ordinance, an unconstitutional policy. That's the root of the problem. And a very aggressive gunmen that come up to you and treat you like a school shooter when you're trying to do a public records request.
So what, the Second Amendment, that's not important to you?
Of course it is.
Doesn't he have a right to...
Do I have that right? Is there equal protection under the law?
Not in a government building.
Is there equal protection under the law? Or is he a sovereign citizen?
No, that's not.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
That's a reasonable restriction.
Oh, really? So it's reasonable for me not to have self-defense, but it's reasonable for him to have it, but unreasonable for me. Got it.
So you sat through 2 of these hearings now. You're still under the impression that this man is a judge?
He looks like a judge to me. He's the head guy here. He's making the decisions.
Despite he's told you
What's
so.
the relevance if he's a judge or not? I don't understand.
The relevance is only a judge can declare their policy unconstitutional.
That's fine. And when I call 500 more lawyers, I'll try to get that going.
No further.
Are you willing to take this case?
I can't.
That's what I thought.
No further questions.
We good? I'm hungry. And I'm diabetic. So we got to take a lunch break if we're going to keep going.
You have nothing else?
I have argument.
How long do you need for that?
5 to 10 minutes.
You need to take a break, Mr. Filax?
Let me get another drink of water.